Our last presentation is from Jade White, a Ph.D. student in bioengineering. Her presentation is titled, "The Cost of Convenience, Microplastics and the Products We Trust." Let's hear it for Jade.
I want you to imagine a time when women used grass, wool, or even papyrus to manage their periods. It was actually not until the 19th century periods were given consideration by society and the public with the invention of the sanitary belt. This is just like what it sounds like, a belt with a piece of cotton that you can don on and off to wash. As you can imagine, this is not very convenient, and by the looks of it, does not look very comfortable. So a while later, in 1938, came the invention of the disposable tampon, as well as the modern period pad. Many people still use these products today, but innovation has continued on into the 21st century with the invention of menstrual cups, as well as period underwear. So although innovation is still happening in this space, many people are still using products that were developed in 1938, pads and tampons. For the sake of today, I will be focusing specifically on tampons. Tampons have revolutionized feminine care in ways that were unimaginable centuries ago, whether that is due to convenience, hygiene, or even comfortability. But today, I hope to prove to you that much more innovation is needed. Over 43 million people in the United States alone use tampons every year, with each using up to 16,000 throughout a lifetime. As you may or may not have seen in some pretty scary articles that came out just last year, tampons have been found to contain heavy metals such as arsenic, pesticides, fragrances, and even nanoplastics. Tampons have been found to release up to 17 billion nanoplastics per tampon. Now, this is a lot of plastic exposure, and it does come with potential health risks. This includes inflammation, hormone disruption, and even cell death. So you may be wondering, aren't these regulated by the FDA? And you are absolutely correct, they are, and they are actually considered a Class 2 medical device. Biocompatibility testing done in the laboratory only really focuses on short-term effects. It does not look at the long-term effects of this kind of chemical exposure. And so in order to maybe inspire the FDA to look more into this, that is where my research comes in, and we need to prove that there may be substantial risk. So in the laboratory, we look at different tampons, collect particles from them, and determine what material they actually are. From there, in this particular study, we expose them to blood assays, and then we are able to assess what piece of the tampon these particles are actually coming from. And so you may be asking yourself, okay, this is also happening in the laboratory. How translatable is it to how tampons are actually used? And the truth is, we try to make it as translatable as possible through mimicking normal wear and physiological conditions during our collection process. So we're looking at 5 different US tampon brands. We're introducing them to a saline solution and bringing the pH down to 4 to simulate the vaginal environment. We then are bringing them up to body temperature and then shaking them at 100 RPM to give them some movement, as most of those who use these products still have day-to-day activities to get to. We then leave this for 4 hours. Tampons can actually be worn up to 8 hours, but for the sake of not being in the lab all day, we have found that 4 has been sufficient enough. So once this process is over, we actually get a ton of large fibers and particles. We then filter them because we really are focused on those smaller particles that we believe may interact more with biological barriers. Once we have all of our particles collected, we can then characterize them through size and concentration, and then later determine what the chemistry actually is. So once we have gone through our collection process, we then go to size and concentration. On our y-axis, we have concentration in particles per tampon, and on our x-axis, tampon brands 1 through 5. What we have found is that tampons release up to 27 billion nanoparticles per tampon, and the size range is anywhere from 90 to 350 nanometers. These particles are so tiny that you would not even be able to see them with the naked eye. And so now we know that a bunch of particles are coming off, and this is already mildly concerning. We need to determine what these particles actually are. And in order to do that, we use infrared light. We're able to dry down our particle solutions, shine infrared light at them, and look at different chemical vibrations between the molecules of whatever material these particles may be. We know that plastic products such as water bottles, grocery bags, and coffee cups are made from a particular plastic material. This material has a molecular structure and therefore has unique chemical vibrations. What we have found is that some of our tampon brands have similar, if not exact, chemical vibrations to those plastic products we are exposed to every day. And we have found this in 3 out of 5 of our brands. So now that we know a little bit about their chemistry and we have determined how many are coming off and what their size is, we now want to introduce them to blood. We know that when menstrual products are being used, they are directly interacting with menstrual blood. So I would like you to imagine you're going for a walk and you accidentally fall and get a cut. Your body automatically notices that something's wrong, something foreign has happened, and it tries to fix it. The way the body tries to fix it is through initiating a blood clotting mechanism. A blood clot is going to stop the bleeding and further help repair the tissue. We see something very similar happen when we introduce these particles to blood. The blood automatically notices that these particles are a foreign object, and it tries to fix it through initiating that same blood clotting mechanism. The only difference here is that instead of interacting with damaged cells, the particles and the blood are now interacting with the particle surface. And so what we see is that the proteins and the enzymes in blood are actually unraveling and conforming and folding onto the particle surface, causing utter chaos and interfering with the body's natural mechanism to combat these foreign objects and these foreign occurrences. What we say that this suggests is pro-inflammatory response, and we see this in 3 out of 5 of our tampon brands. Prolonged inflammation to these tissues could be detrimental to menstrual health, causing things like cancer and even impaired fertility. So sure, we have come a long way since the days of wool and grass, revolutionizing feminine care to be a bit more convenient. But that revolution is far from over. And we need to push for greater safety, transparency, and innovation to ensure that feminine products evolve just as boldly as those who use them.